Hello, thank you, Rohan, and good evening, everyone. So I'm Charlotte Acker. I'm a senior manager in CIB at Chappuis Halder and the happy moderator of this last panel. We are a bit short in timing, so I'll try to fit in to end on time to have a drink together and discuss further all those topics. So first of all, let me introduce my panelists who kindly accepted our invitation to participate to this conference. So Arnaud Lafosse-Marin, you are head of Quantifi Global, I'm sorry, and I'm on the wrong line. You are Cultural Solutions, Risk Resources and Regulatory for BNP Paribas. Thank you for being here. Nicolas Ferras, you are head of Quantifi Global Monitoring Group at Société Générale CIB. Thanks for being here with us. And Pascal Gibard, you are Deputy Head of Market Risks at Crédit Agricole CIB. So the topic of this ultimate panel is to give you a representative view of what's happening related to XVAs on the organization, and wanted this panel to be a representative panel of impacted departments within the CIB. That's why we have a front-face view, product control and market risks gathered tonight. So our objective is to give you insight of these organization challenges, and I think, yes, we've got just one slide to give you an overview of what's going on. To make it clear and short, in the market, CIBs are generally organized by silos, and the appearance of XVAs, which are metrics calculated transversally, induced the appearance of central and transversal desks. So you can see on the picture the CVA, DVA desks, the LVA desks, the scarce resources desks Sébastien mentioned earlier. And the question we wanted to raise is that does it have to be centralized and managed transversally through those desks? And what is the perspective on the front office side and the support function side? I'm sorry. And the second point is to get an overview of who is taking the lead in terms of taxonomy and practices and convergences in these departments. So we've got a few questions we're going through the panel. The first questions on the silo or centralized desks. We wanted to have an overview of how relationships between sales, traders, and those central desks were modified. Maybe, Arnaud, you can start with an overview of the historical path of what happened in XVA's desk in BNP, and then answer this question.
Yes, what is interesting within BNP Paribas is we still have two different organizations coming from the historical two métiers in the global market world, one from the fixed income side, one from the global equities and commodity side. And the impact was different because they chose to differently centralize or not, or more or less centralize these problematics. On one side, they decide to centralize not everything, but to have a more centralized view with a big team that make a lot of price per day. So in that case, there is clearly an impact in the process for sales and trader because there is a new desk that need to provide a price or an additional valuation adjustment that need to be added in the price. Another side, they decide to rely on the tool that they provide to the trader on sales and to invest in that tool in order to have just a centralized team, very, very small, that take into account very, very specific or let's say exotic parts. And in that case, the process has not changed a lot. Clearly, the tool has been improved. The knowledge of the front office that directly face the client also have improved related to this matter. And I won't say that there is a good solution. It clearly depends of your appetite to centralize or not, so the way you want to manage it, or the type of client you face.
And just a quick question, it's you're saying the processes are changing a lot, the relationship between sales and traders as well. So you're adding a new people in town. That's what you're saying. So it can be heavy in terms of agility and pricing capacity. And
yes, it's the downside of the approach. On the other side, if you have specific client, let's say corporate, for example, it's probably better to have a specialist that can take into account the appropriate adjustment due to the specificity of the relation you have with the client. So it's a way, you need to find a way to balance between the agility and perhaps the fact you want to take into account the good price or the appropriate valuation.
Okay, thank you. On we had a question as well for you, Nicolas, on the organization at SGCIB on the XVA desk, and this question about agility and capacity of staying global but agile while controlling the risks on your side and the product control side. What's your feedback on the silo versus centralized desks?
I won't challenge any organization. In SGIB, we are more on the central desk model, and I would say that it induced better communication. It's more easy for us because seen from the product control department, we are mostly in charge of implementing the different methodology, and it's more easy for us to work and to have the specialist because there are numerous payoff, numerous product, a lot of exoticity, so it's more easy for us to control exposure, to see the evolution of the numbers, and sorry. And moreover, I would say that we have also we are part of the department, the financial department. So we have also to broadcast these XVA numbers to other departments, and we are the unique entry point, and we are sure that we are consistent between the different view of the XVA shown in different reports or other use.
You're pro central desk.
I didn't know another organization, so I would say certainly. I think that something which is important for the front office, it's the awareness of the CVA in the pricing, and there are a lot of discussion around the method, the way it is introduced in the pricing. And I think it's also interesting to have more people on the ground to think about the different methodologies, but also you have specialists on that. So I have I won't give any piece of advice on that. It depends the way you want to work, and the world of CVA is in evolution, so certainly on a project mode, the central desk is better.
It's definitely a projectized mode. Pascal, on Crédit Agricole CIB, you had the two options of whether central or silo desk. You picked one or the other depending on the case on the CV and LVA side. Can you give us your feedbacks and what you would say are the criteria decision on that? And is there a best practice according to you?
Maybe I can answer the last question first, because I don't think there is a best practice at all. It really depends on many things within your organization. Effectively, we decided to have some of the XVA really decentralized, so at every trading desk, probably the most simple one, like OIS bar, or some part of the FVA, which are easier to capture and do not depend as much on the overall portfolio of the bank. On the contrary, for CVA, which includes all the trades made by all the departments, it's easier to centralize it because effectively for any given trader, it's quite difficult to capture all the risks that come from a single trade. Even if you have extremely efficient systems, you could imagine that each traders can price the marginal impact of the CVA of each marginal deals, but you need a very, very good systems. And as was mentioned before, some of the CVA's aspects are very complex, like wrong-way risk and things like that, which cannot really easily be apprehended by all the traders in the bank, and would be an extreme investment to have all the people really familiar with all these complexities. So I guess the frontier between having this at the desk level or at a centralized level, you need to take into account the complexity of the adjustment you're talking about. You need to take into account the quality of your systems, information systems. Are you confident enough that the system is up and running at every time and in every location, that you can have people rely totally on the system? And also the organization, whether who is in charge of managing the residual risk that comes from these XVAs, because they generate risk on the not only from the credit point of view, but also from the interest rate, FX, and equity. And so all these need to be managed at some point, and they cannot easily be micromanaged by each trader.
And it's a question as well of timing. When you have a central desk, it can go faster in a project mode, maybe to implement, or what's your to deploy it? When we did it on ISB or on LVA, it took quite a long time to educate everybody. It's good for awareness, but it takes a long time to educate and to deploy. When you have something central, well, you're done as soon as you're okay on the metrics.
I don't think so. I think it's very, very time-consuming, whatever choice you make, because even if you centralize, you still need to work all the communication between the central desk and the traders and the structurers and the sales. And you need also to educate clients, as was mentioned before, because if your price is different from other banks' price, you need to explain why this happens. We had this issue to start with when we included the OIS bar, and some of our clients, which are unilateral collateral, mainly governments and very highly rated people, well, we had to explain to them that because of this asymmetric contract, we couldn't price even simple swaps the same way we did in the past. And obviously, we lost a lot of deals, but as was said again before, you'd rather lose a deal than recognize a loss in the future. So, but you need to explain to your clients why you do this and why you still want to keep the client relationship, and you just wait for the market to adjust or yourself to adjust if you're wrong in the first place.
So you can't skip the educational part. That's what you're saying.
No, you can, because people who talk to the client, they are not the central desk. Usually they are salespeople or sometimes traders, but everyone needs to be at the same level. Certainly now, because all the banks are not pricing exactly in the same way, CVA and FVA and so on. So I'm sure you need a lot of explanation when you price a client deal.
Thank you. The second part of this discussion is around how the relationships, how is it has changed, for product control and market risks departments. So the question, the first one was to Pascal and Nicolas. It was, what are the impacts on XVAs on your day-to-day jobs and practices?
They are unfortunately numerous. I think the first one, which may sound a bit awkward, is when we priced CVA in the past with historical probabilities. In fact, it didn't move that much. And when we started to price with market spreads, everything moved a lot. So we needed to monitor the CVA more frequently on a daily basis. And in fact, we realized that to value a portfolio, you couldn't really value each trade and do the sum. This can't work anymore in the current environment. And this is quite an important change in the way we address issues of risk management and supervising the valuation of portfolios, because we used to just price deal after deal and just do the sum. So now this is not possible anymore, and that's a huge change. For CACIB, the other change is that we have two departments, one in charge of market risk, one in charge of counterparty credit risk. And obviously now the two are so close together, that's going to be, we work a lot more together than we did in the past, and this obviously is quite new. And the last part that comes to my mind is the difficulty that we have to assess the market price, because from an accounting point of view, we are supposed to use exit prices, so look at market prices. But any transaction now is, apart from collateralized transactions that end up with CCP, they are in fact unique transactions, because you have a swap, but you have a receiver counterparty and a payer counterparty. And if you change any of these counterparty, then you change the deal. You change the economics of the deals. So it's quite difficult to have a market price, because any deal seems to be different depending on the counterparties who look at it. Having said that, we still need to assess where another market would price our transaction, to make sure that the prices that we use are effectively fair to start with, and then we can add some prudence on top of it. But once you have a fair price, it's some kind of easier to get a prudent price.
On your side, Nicolas, can you tell us more about maybe organization changes, information system changes, or human resources, new profiles you can have to hire through XVA's implementation?
Yes, first I fully agree with what Pascal said on the tightening between market risk and counterparty risk. So at SGIB we are going to merge on the product control department both teams in charge of monitoring counterparty risk and market risk. So keeping the alignment by business line, but there will be only one team. So because we also see demands from regulators, for example, the stress test of the EBA, which is a market risk, but seen with the counterparty axis. So there is a lot bulk of signs on that we are seeing, and we want to be more focused and merging all market and counterparty risk. We have also a topic on information system, because I think that a lot of banks are leveraging on their EP and ENI computation, and this is a heavy framework. We have to maintain and be sure that the evolution of the system is also aligned with what we are seeing on the markets. So it's a big change because we are monitoring also the information system. And of course, people also. It's a cultural change for analysts.
Do you have specific hirings to monitor XVAs profiles, like quant profiles, or specific profiles in your teams, or not especially?
Not specific hirings, but there is a lot of training and also cross-training with front office guys, which is important.
I don't know if you want to add maybe something on the front office side for you. Does it have to change in the support functions, and is it mandatory?
What I will say is, I will concur to what my colleague said, is that the important change is we cannot now price a deal alone, and we now need to take into account the portfolio effect. And clearly, thanks to the XVA, perhaps the front office move a bit more to the control function because they historically have a focus on the portfolio side. And front office probably start to invest a bit more in the risk tool just in order to use some output because they are more on a portfolio view.
I have an extra question on this topic. From your recent experiences and from the past implementations of XVAs, would you say that the product control or market risk departments are a facilitator to understand the regulatory requirements and spread them within the bank and help and support front office into its implementation? Or do you say they are safety nets and they are the guardians of the safekeepers of the regulations? What would you reckon?
Just to talk from my bank perspective, the front office first move, the first move on XVA was made by the front office. Where we receive the help from the function is more on the communication with the management and the communication with the commissaire aux comptes in order to explain why our valuation had changed, why we need to take into account some particular adjustment, why there is different price. So this is my view from my bank perspective or from a front office perspective. Right? I leave my colleague to comment.
Pascal, if you want to add something in the facilitator role, do you agree it's a facilitator role today in your department?
Well, it surely, we surely played a role to discuss with top management when all these XVA were introduced, so that everybody could understand why things change so quickly and in certain instances so dramatically as well. Effectively, we have a difficult role as a mediator because somehow the front office on a daily basis, they see prices from the market, from their competitors, they get some feedback from the clients, so they have a significant amount of information which is difficult to quantify in terms of models. And nevertheless, at the end of the day, we need to come up with a methodology to compute all these adjustments. And the methodology cannot be, my price is too expensive, I don't do any deals, and now I do all the deals, maybe I was too conservative on this one. We need something more solid, and effectively in that respect we are in a difficult position because we don't have all the information, but we still need to discuss with all the third parties, which are the external auditors, which will soon be the regulators, and already the top management.
Thank you. We were talking about facilitator role or guardianship. Do you reckon, maybe Nicolas, if you want to add something on that, that you are the safekeepers of making it converging rules or supporting in having best practices applied? How would you reckon your role is today within SG as a product control?
I think product control is onboarded. There is a specific governance with front office proposing some methodology, risk validating models and methodology, and us being in charge of implementing the different methods. So each time there is a move, we are measuring the impacts. So we are more acting as facilitators, but also we are partners because we are also facing commissaire aux comptes and different auditors, and we try to have both roles.
You are having as well a role of supporting convergence, common taxonomy within the bank, and this role, do you think it's a product control role, or is it a common role, or a multiplied participants role? What's your point of view?
I think the journey will be long, and it would be easier for us to have a very precise guideline, and but it's not the case. There are a lot of discrepancies. The way you can implement the formulas are changing. The organization, what we see from the market can be different from one period to the other. So I think we still are in a project mode, and we are not running something very well defined.
Thank you very much.
So taxonomy.
Common taxonomy is not yet there. Before leaving the floor to the audience and further questions, final wrap-up question, maybe to all of you, if anybody has something to add. Would you say that this XVAs implementation is changing deeply the organization, moving from let's say a client-driven silo historical way of organizing desks and front office and support functions to a regulatory-driven business that is now more and more centralized and that has to be managed through central desks and support functions? Would you say it has changed the business drivers?
I think that it will change something. Why? Because, as I said before, there is more and more non-linearity in the business now. So it's difficult to continue to work the way we work, CIB work until now, with a particular culture, with very specific desk, specific deal, by thinking about the global PV is just the sum of the PV of each deal. So this is why I think we need to try to find another way to work within the CIB in order to take that into account. It is not really the case now. I don't know if it will be a requirement to have a more and more centralized team or not. But clearly we need to pay attention that when we do a deal, it could impact the whole portfolio or the portfolio of just the trader next to you.
Anything to add?
Nothing more. I fully agree. We didn't talk about Dodd-Frank and the EMIR regulation and the over-collateralization in the pricing panel, but it's going to be another evolution. So I think it changes the organization for product controllers.
Effectively, I think things have changed, and a lot of resources that are used in CIB, like liquidity, credit, capital, used to be not exactly free, but we had enough, and so no one really had to care about any of those. And suddenly we start to have big differences between OIS funding and board funding. We have big differences between funding in euros and funding in US dollars. We have big funding spread when we want to borrow 5-year money, and so on and so on and so on. And basically, a trader and a sale cannot just look deal after deal what is good for the bank. They need to look at what is good for the bank as a whole, and look at any deal, what impact does it have on all these items that we need to be a lot more careful for, because they are not free anymore.
Newman in town. Thank you for your participation. Any question from the assistants? Oh, you're all very thirsty. Yeah, go ahead.
So you kind of intimated that there's stuff to come, but you intimated that there was changes that would impact the organisation. You looked at different structures, central or decentralized, but do you see things evolving? Like, do you see, okay, well, it's sort of for an organisation they've got a structure and it'll work, or do you see actually over the next 3 years this could change a lot because there's still stuff happening and evolving? Do you think I guess what I'm saying is, do you think you've reached steady state, or are things still changing?
Well, at least for CACIB, things are still changing. And we still see future changes. We just mentioned just before that we're going to merge, well, at least the regulator plans to merge the capital requirement on CVA and market risk together, so that's going to be a big change as well. Today we compute a VaR on our market risk portfolio. If we add the CVA, we need to generate many scenarios. It's going to be a huge issue. Probably an interesting one, but from a system point of view, definitely a huge one. So today CVA is still like a specific desk and so on. The way going forward, it seems to be that we're going to look at it just like another portfolio of exotic trade or how should I say, hybrid trades, which will be treated as any other portfolio. So that could be a huge change in terms of system and organization as well.
Any other question, maybe? Well, whatsoever, we will stay. We are having a cocktail. I think it's over here. Is it, Linda? Yeah. Do you know where the cocktail is? I think it's over there. Okay. So we'll be all available to answer your questions. Thank you again to all for your presence and to our panelists today. And let's have a drink together just over there. Oh, okay. And I'll leave the room to Bertrand for the last words.
Well, just a few words. Yeah, it was very interesting topics tonight. I have the impression that the regulator is now sometimes ahead of the trading room, so which is quite interesting. And it seems that there is still a lot of works ongoing, which is a bit strange when you think at it, because CVA started like almost 10 years back. When I heard we are in a project mode, so it really shows and paves the way to the future on this aspect. So it's probably a series of conferences that we will have to run and over the next 10 years, I guess. I've heard from the panelists many interesting things. First, on the regulatory side, the impression that quantity is behind us. It's probably more a matter of quality and integration or optimization of the framework, which is, well, I would say something that we've heard for a long time, but we definitely believe that could happen between the accounting and prudential rules. On the pricing side, I had the impression that there was a kind of fierce competition, which seems that may not be the case, and that the rule is really try to price in all adjustments as soon as you can. So not playing with the VAs. So that's changes my perspective on this one, and I guess that there will be probably an attempt where it's a little bit more mature to think of how you turn it as a competitive advantage in your business. I guess some Anglo-Saxon or some banks are already working on that, and that was the topic of the conference. And on the last one, I think that we can, from the panelists, we understand that it's probably positive. It brings a lot of transversality within the firm, maybe put more perspective on the client side, on the relationship between the different departments, and trying to optimize the resources of the bank. So very positive messages, but once again, a lot of things in front of us. So I would like first to thank all the panelists, and maybe a big round of applause for them. And once again, thank you for your attendance tonight. We have a cocktail so at the back of the room where we can continue our discussion. So once again, thank you, and see you soon for another conference with Quantifi.